Brazilian President Luis Ignacio da Silva departed for China to enhance bilateral cooperation ahead of BRIC group. Gun violence in the United States continues as authorities report shootings in two cities on Tuesday, leaving at least 5 people dead. And public health doctors in the United Kingdom launched on Tuesday what is considered as the most disruptive strike in its history. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. On Tuesday, the Brazilian President Luis Ignacio da Silva departed to China to pay an official visit to the Asian giant. The head of state acknowledged that it will be a busy trip and ratified his desire to strengthen the political and commercial relationship between both powers. Lula's visit comes as BRICS countries prepare for the 15th summit to be held in South Africa in August, with China and Brazil as two of the main economies in the group. A peaceful resolution to the Ukrainian conflict will also be a paramount topic during the bilateral talks. Lula is accompanied by a large delegation of ministers who are also attending the inauguration of former Brazilian President Dilma Rousseff as head of the BRICS Development Bank. Our correspondent Brian Mier in Brasilia has more details on President Lula's visit to China.
Brazil's President Lula will be joined by 40 government officials on a diplomatic visit to China this week to meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping. On the table are at least 20 bilateral trade agreements.
Everyone in Brazil knows that commercial relations between Brazil and China were greatly damaged by Jair Bolsonaro's negative diplomacy. Lula is trying to rebuild these bridges and also take advantage of the political conflict between the US and China, since Brazil has benefited in the past from their conflicts.
One of the deals that appears to be under negotiation would involve a Chinese takeover of 5 Ford manufacturing plants that were abandoned in 2021 when the company terminated over 100 years of operations in Brazil.
Automobile plants always pay good wages for their workers with the best social programs, so the nationality doesn't matter to us. What's important is to come here and give jobs and income to the workers. If Ford doesn't want to invest in Brazil anymore, we welcome China and any other country that wants to invest.
Lula will meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping on Friday. Brian Mier, teleSUR, Brasilia.
Chilean Congress passed a law on Tuesday to reduce the working week from 45 to 40 hours, which will be implemented gradually over the next 5 years. Chile and Ecuador are now the only two countries in Latin America with a 40-hour work week, compared to 48 hours in Argentina, Bolivia, Colombia, Costa Rica, Mexico, Nicaragua, Panama, Paraguay, Peru, and Uruguay, according to the International Labour Organization. The bill, which had already been voted by the Senate, was approved in the Chamber of Deputies by 127 votes in favor, 14 against, and 3 abstentions. The initiative was promoted by deputies of the Communist Party, among them Camila Vallejo, the current government spokesperson, and it came through thanks to an agreement between the government and the opposition. The new law, which must be promulgated by President Gabriel Boric, will be implemented gradually. The International Monetary Fund forecasts that the economy of Latin America and the Caribbean will grow 1.6% in 2023, pointing Venezuela as the country in the region with the most favorable outlook. In its latest World Economic Outlook entitled A Rocky Recovery and released on Tuesday, the International Monetary Fund announced that Latin America's economy will grow up to 1.6% this year, just 0.2 points below the projection made in January, and up to 2.2% in 2024. In this sense, Venezuela is the country in the Latin American and Caribbean region with the most promising economic outlook, according to the IMF. The organization expects the Bolivarian Republic to see an expansion of up to 5% this year and up to 4.5% in 2024. Meanwhile, the IMF's World Economic Outlook further added that Brazil could reach an expansion of 0.9% in 2023 and up to 2% in 2024. The fund also anticipates a slight improvement of 0.1 percentage points in Mexico's economic growth this year, which would reach 1.8% while decreasing to 1.6% next year. Other countries with slower growth are Ecuador with 2.9% in 2023 and 2.8% in 2024, followed by Bolivia with 1.8% and Paraguay and Uruguay with 4.5% and 2% respectively. In El Salvador, the government will request Parliament to extend the state of emergency imposed a year ago in an escalation of the war against gangs. Justice and Security Minister Gustavo Villatoro stated on Tuesday that the suspension of several constitutional guarantees will continue until the arrest of the last of the gang members that submitted citizens to a parallel state of terror. President Nayib Bukele ensures that this measure improves public security. However, several social sectors denounced that during the state of exception, citizens who have no links with criminal gangs have been arrested. Amidst the exclusion of political organizations, Guatemala's Supreme Electoral Tribunal led the signing of a national agreement to promote an ethical and peaceful campaign. The initiative was raised by the magistrates during a meeting with representatives of political organizations in the framework of the 2023 general elections. According to the officials, the initiative seeks to guarantee governance with a peaceful electoral process. This decision comes while different civil society organizations denounce irregularities in the process, as well as participants linked to drug trafficking and other criminal acts. They also reject the exclusion of candidates representing rural and indigenous sectors, such as the Movement for the Liberation of Peoples. In the United States, gun violence continues. Authorities registered 2 shootings on Tuesday, killing at least 5 people. Officials reported that 1 man died and 3 others were injured at noon local time after an individual opened fire at a funeral home in northeast Washington. Local police chief specified that the identity of the shooter is unknown at this time. Authorities also reported a similar incident in the city of Winston-Salem in the state of North Carolina, where 4 people were killed. Let's take a short break, but first remember you can follow us on TikTok at teleSUR English, in which you'll be able to see news in different formats, news updates, and much more. Other stories coming up, stay with us. Welcome back from the South. Public health doctors in the United Kingdom launched on Tuesday what is considered as the most disruptive strike in its history in a dispute over pay and working conditions. The 4-day walkout, which began at 7 a.m. local time, follows months of strikes by other public and private sector staff as inflation sparks the UK's worst cost of living crisis in a generation. Protesters demand a pay rise of 35%, which they say is needed to help make up for more than a decade of salary cuts in real terms. The government says the doctors' request is unaffordable as ministers try to dampen wage demands across the public sector amid stagnant growth and high inflation.
Doctors are striking today because we've seen our pay cut by more than 26% over the last 15 years. It's a signal of being undervalued, and ultimately that's driving doctors away to places like Australia, New Zealand and Canada, and that has rippling effects through our workforce and ultimately for patients. So we're striking today to have our voice heard, to restore that pay, to reverse the pay cuts that have been imposed on us by the government.
The demands are much more than valid. In fact, it's surprising that there haven't been demands like this for years. And in fact, the staff are hemorrhaging from the NHS. They have already gone. It means that the current workers, nurses and doctors, are actually very overworked because there aren't enough of them. That's not made enough of. They are exhausted, and this is just not good enough. It's a tragedy.
The Italian government has approved on Tuesday the introduction of a state of migration emergency for a period of 6 months at the proposal of the Minister of Civil Protection and Marine Policies, Nello Musumeci. Musumeci stressed that the decision, backed by an initial loan of €5 million, was taken because the flow of migrants is registering a 300% increase. He also pointed out that the solution to the problem is linked only to a conscious and responsible intervention by the European Union. For his part, the Vice President of the government and leader of the Pro-Sovereignty League, Matteo Salvini, assured that Italy is absolutely incapable of managing 1,000 daily arrivals of migrants and that it is crucial that Europe wakes up and intervenes. More than 3,000 migrants have arrived in Italy in the last few hours. The Italian Coast Guard during this weekend has rescued numerous boats in distress in the central Mediterranean. In Spain, turning 18 means coming of age, a celebration for most young people, except for migrant minors without family references who are no longer under the care of authorities and are literally left on the street on their birthday. From Andalusia, our correspondent Sergio Rodrigo gives us more details.
Fozzi migrated alone when he was still a child. He has just turned 18. In Spain, when minors reach legal age, they are expelled from the reception centers. Charaf experienced the same situation. Now the two of them are looking for an alternative to the streets.
I come here so I don't waste my time on the street. I knew about this center because I came with a friend.
You are in Spain and what you want is to be able to look for a place or something where you can stay or something like that, to be able to undertake whatever you want or to be able to do whatever you want.
Said also became homeless when he came of age. He attends Save the Children's safe spaces for homeless young people during the day, where they can learn languages, study, rest and relax. But what young people want most of all are tools for employment.
I come to fix my papers, to look for an apartment, to take classes, to study here. That's why I come every day from 1 o'clock until 5 or 6 o'clock.
Data on minors and young people without family references who migrate alone to Spain are difficult to count. Andalusia and the Canary Islands are the ones that receive the most because of the border situation. Most of them are underage who encounter bureaucratic obstacles before arriving in Spain.
They are boys between 18 and 23 years of age, mainly of Moroccan origin, but there are also boys of other countries such as Colombia and Burkina Faso. There are boys and girls without family references who, because they have no support network, have no place to go and no place where their needs can be heard, where they can be feel cared for, where they can be referred to a service they need.
Changes in the law on foreigners in Spain have allowed many young people to obtain work permits, but the main problem is still housing and the residence permit that allows them to live with dignity.
Sergio Rodrigo y Lucía Muñoz, teleSUR, España.
Hungary's Foreign Minister Peter Szijjártó visited Russia on Tuesday, where he held talks on energy and cooperation. As part of his agenda, Hungary's top diplomat met with Russian Deputy Prime Minister for Energy Alexander Novak and Alexei Likachev, Chief Executive Officer of state nuclear company Rosatom Corp. In this sense, and reaffirming Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban's efforts, the head of Hungarian diplomacy described Budapest's agenda in Moscow as crucial for securing oil, gas and nuclear supplies to his country, as the first part of the agenda only includes meetings with the energy sector.
The situation. So we had to find the legal frameworks by amending the existing contracts, which will ensure that we can build this nuclear power plant. An agreement was reached today with Russia on the modification of both the construction and financing contract of the Pax nuclear power plant expansion. These modifications guarantee that we can complete this investment.
teleSUR English continues to grow. You can now tune in from 33 different African countries through StarSat, dial 461 and enjoy Latin American alternative broadcasts. One final short break and we'll be right back. Don't go away. Welcome back from the South. Kenya's President William Ruto announced that the country will not acquire loans to pay civil servants, even as union groups threaten to go on strike due to unpaid March salaries. According to Ruto, the salary delays are due to the country's substantial public debt, with some loans becoming due this month. He emphasized that taxes collected by the Revenue Authority will be used to pay these salaries. However, at least 2 workers' umbrella bodies have warned of a strike this week if the salaries are not paid. Kenya's chief economic advisor, speaking to the local media, assured that the salaries will be paid by the end of the month. The government has been urged to reduce the wastage of public funds. Currently, Kenya's public debt accounts for 65% of the national revenue, with over $420 million needed to each month to pay the salaries and pensions of civil servants. In Tunisia, 4th Division Football Club has suspended its activities after 30 of its players migrated illegally to Europe. According to the club's president, Jamil Meftahi, no less than 32 players have illegally migrated to Europe. The official also blamed the exodus on a lack of financial resources for the club and the players. Most of the players aged between 17 and 22 have traveled to Europe either by sea or by going to Serbia, and then they illegally cross the border to other countries. The suspension of the club's activities will continue until a solution is found in collaboration with the Tunisian Soccer Federation, the official said. In Somalia, the Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, visited a camp for internally displaced persons in Baidoa. He exchanged with some of the inhabitants and highlighted the best conditions that can be achieved for the people to solve the humanitarian drama they are facing.
From the international community to mobilize much more support to the Somalis to guarantee the security of their people and fight terrorism, support to the Somalis to solve the humanitarian drama that we can witness in the camp like this, and support to the Somalis in creating the conditions to build resilience of their populations and to create a path of development for the people of Somalia.
The UN Secretary General's visit comes in the wake of 5 consecutive years of drought and an ongoing security crisis due to a bloody insurgency. Guterres stated that the international community has been absent-minded in relation to the drama of the people of Somalia.
Is 5 consecutive years of drought. The people I met have lost their livestock, have lost their property, have lost everything. So this combination of terrorism and drought, largely caused by climate change, creates a perfect storm for the people of Somalia and requires massive support. We have 6 million people in need of assistance. We have launched an appeal to the international community. Only 15% of that appeal has been funded until now. The international community has been absent-minded in relation to the drama of the people of Somalia. It's time to look seriously into these people that is suffering too much.
On the occasion of Ramadan, the Islamic Republic of Iran offered a shipment of humanitarian aid to the Palestinian refugees in Syria. This assistance comes within the context of the Persian nation's full support to the Palestinian people in and out of the occupied territories. Our correspondent in Damascus, Hisham Wanos, with the details.
The Iranian aid shipment includes 4,000 baskets of food, medicines, and other essential goods. A contribution that the diplomatic mission of the Islamic Republic of Iran in Damascus says arrives every year in the holy month of Ramadan to the Palestinian refugees and the Palestinian resistance forces in the Al-Yarmouk camp in Syria as part of Tehran's continued support for the just Palestinian cause.
The Islamic Republic of Iran has always been on the side of the just cause of the Palestinian people and will always be on the side of the struggle of the Palestinian groups. And this aid offered on the occasion of the month of Ramadan is part of the continuous Iranian support for the Palestinians and their cause.
The Palestinians living in Syria, like their brothers in occupied Palestine, are grateful that Iran's assistance helps to consolidate their determination in the face of the Zionist occupation regime's attempt to undermine the struggle for the recovery of their usurped rights, led by the liberation of their occupied lands, the establishment of an independent state with Jerusalem as its capital, and the return of the refugees.
There are many families of Palestinian martyrs who fell during the terrorist war against Syria, and there are many affected families to whom the Islamic Republic of Iran always sends these lots of humanitarian aid, especially in the holy month of Ramadan, to consolidate their resistance against terrorism and Zionist aggressions, and to consolidate their struggle for an early return to their homeland in the occupied Palestine.
The Palestinian refugees in Syria, like their Syrian brothers, suffer the consequences of the terrorist war and the economic blockade imposed by foreign countries, a difficult situation that, thanks to the support of their allies in the resistance bloc, led by Iran, they managed to resist and defy, determined to achieve the definitive victory in their struggle against the Zionist U.S. occupation and its criminal tools, the terrorist gangs.
We have come to the end of this news briefing. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. Also join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.